Yes, guys, how's it going? It is Friday. It is Fan Phoning Friday, and I'm actually not on mute today to start things off. Hopefully, Andre, please confirm.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I can hear your voice. We're good.
We're already at the end of the week, the end of the working week. I hope you guys have had a good one. I hope you guys are looking forward to the weekend. And I am buzzing to talk about this talking point today. Obviously, we'll talk about other things as well. But obviously, the main talking point, as you can see from the title, is would you guys take Gareth Bale back at Spurs for the third time, the hat trick? The spaces are open. I'm going to whack the StreamYard link in the chat in just a moment. We're going to welcome on the Spurs relatables, and then we're going to get in one of the guests I can already see in the waiting room. So if you guys want to join after this first person, please do come into the waiting room and we'll get you in. And there's a couple more people to join later on. But Andre, how you doing, mate?
Doing well, and I'm really excited to see what the Spurs relatables have to say. There's so many things to talk about besides just the Gareth Bale situation, but obviously yesterday he showed that he's class. For him, his temporary, class is permanent, as one famous announcer said when he was back at Tottenham. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing is, obviously, yesterday I was bigging up Ben Davies for getting an assist for Bale, and then I think just as we went off air, he scored an own goal. So that's what happens. Commentators curse, and Ben Davies back as being paper over the cracks as we know it. But let's welcome in some of the Spurs relatables in the chat. Brian Daigle's first up. Brian, how you doing, mate? He says, good evening, James and Andre. How you both? I'm doing really well, mate. I'm in good mood. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. Got the weekend to look forward to. I'm looking forward to it. How are you doing, Andre? And also Brian, let us know how you're doing, mate.
Yeah, Brian, I'm glad to see that you're back here again. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, and he actually says, Andre, please message on social media as I want to talk to you about meeting up at Scotland Yard for Villa, but don't have your number. Ask James to give you out. I'm sure I'll give Andre your number, Brian, so you guys can sort something out. Big out the big man, Dave Harris, or it might even be Jack, but I'm presuming it is Dave. Evening, Dave. Hope you're doing good, mate. Ayanami's in it, as always, saying Koi's big up. Absolutely big up. Ellie's in here. Big up, Ellie. She says, good evening, lads. Oh, my God, I love the subject. Yes, I would take Bale back in a shot. Did you see how fit he looked versus Austria and the goals he scored? He's back to his best, baby. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. There's already so many comments filing in. ESOT says, evening, lads. Hope you're doing well, mate. How you doing well? Good to see you. Ayanami saying, I think Bale is a no-brainer. Scored plenty of goals last season and his fitness is top-notch. Beats so many players at Real during assessments. Listen, he's a world-class player. There's no getting around that. Obviously, the debate is, has he passed his sell-by date? Has he still got it? There's obviously the injury factor. There's the fitness factor. There's all sorts of different factors. I mean, I have an opinion. I'm sure we'll get into it, but let's hear about what the guests are thinking as well. Evening, David and Brian, legends. Bobby K, big up, Bobby. Absolute pleasure to you on Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Nice. Tottenham Tantrum Gold earlier. It was brilliant, mate. And it was good to see your little one on there as well. And hopefully you can join us a little bit later on, Bobby K. It's always good to speak to you, mate. Evening, James and Andre, says Chris. Big up, Chris. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you've had a good week. And Joe's in here from Canada, by the way, at the moment, saying, got to leave Bale now, in my opinion. Don't want to hinder the development of your other lads unless he's willing to take a modest contract. Harry Wilson, clearly. And this is the debate, other than the end bit, because Joe's obviously been a little bit silly there. But the first bit is a good point, and I think this is the debate. It's, do you let Kulusevski and the likes of that, crack on, or do you get someone back that we know is proven to score goals? Does he hinder the development of the other lads? This is the debate we want to get into. That's for sure. And maybe just before we do get Mark in, who is in the waiting room, and he's been there for a few minutes, I do want to get him in, and I do want to get his thoughts in just a moment. Andre, just your thoughts very quickly, top-level thoughts on this debate. Are you very much Bale in, or are you very much no, enough's enough? What's your thoughts on it?
I think depending on what we end up bringing in and what our options are, that's when we should decide if Bale's worth bringing in, because I would assume he would take a really, really huge amount of money in order for us to bring him in. Those wages that we paid for a loan were ridiculous enough. So it really would, there's many factors involved, how much we'd be paying him, what kind of form is he in, what are his priorities, is he coming to us just because it's the best option. He really wants to come to Tottenham again. And just depending on Conte if he feels that he can use him in a proper position, right? Because he might not
play. He'd have to play either as a striker or as a wing back, and I don't think he's got the legs for a wing back anymore. I mean, maybe again that could be up for debate, but for me, I think I'd play him as a striker. And then you think to yourself, well, is he going to fit as a striker with Kane, or is he going to fit as a striker with Son, or is he going to fit in a 3-4-2-1? I just don't know how it would work. This is why this debate is brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. Let's bring in our first guest after 10 minutes. Here he is. I've never actually had him on the channel before. Obviously, one of the Spurs relatables, and always in the chat, always in the comments, pretty much every episode, but never actually spoken to him in person. And I saw him on the stream earlier, and he spoke very well. So let's get everyone in. Let's all give him a warm welcome in the chat as well, guys. There's at least 10, 15 of you here already. Here he is. It's the main man, Mark Cousins. How you doing, Mark?
Very well. How are you?
Very well, mate. Thank you for joining. I know you were very keen to join earlier, and it's good to have you on. Thanks for all the support over the last few months as well, because you've been one of the guys that has always been here. It's always been like, Ian Army's here, Bobby K's here, Mark Cousins is here. It's always been the same names, so we do appreciate that as well, mate.
No worries, no worries. Brilliant channel. Brilliant channel.
You, mate.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, as you know, hang on, before we do get into this, Elise just said, Mark, why aren't you down the pub?
That's tomorrow.
There we go.
Brilliant. Bobby K saying we'll only take Bale back if he wants to play for the club and not for a paycheck. We can't give him astronomical wages. What are your thoughts on that, Bobby K? Sorry, not Bobby K. What are your thoughts on that, Mark, rather? And do you... Just quickly, are you Bale in? You'd very much take him in a heartbeat, or are you, enough's enough?
In a heartbeat. In a
heartbeat stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm old enough to remember in the first time.
So are we, mate.
But like,
No, I know what you mean.
No, but even last 10 minutes of a game. He didn't play much the first time he was there. Not really. There he is.
Legend.
Well, he didn't play a lot the first time, did he? He was injured for a lot of it, wasn't he? But what did he score? 12 goals?
Are you talking about
Gareth?
Are you talking about his first spell ever, or are you talking about his return? Just
the return one. The
return one. Obviously, yeah, he did have injuries, and he did come back, and he obviously got going at the end of that season under Mourinho and did score, obviously, those 2 goals away at Leicester that got us into the Europa League Conference League, which we won't talk about. But he was a big part at the end of that season. And I think you're right. He did score about 12 goals, I believe, in about
10 or 12,
in about 20 odd appearances, which is like a goal every other 2 games. It isn't a bad stats, especially for a 32-year-old, is he now? 33? I mean, he is getting on. So there's always elements. Do you say about would you bring him in the last 10 minutes? So say you've got Kulusevski and you've got Bale, both fully fit. Who do you play at that right forward position? Do you stick with Kulusevski based on his form, or do you bring in Bale and say, Kulusevski, you're going to have to now hold your progression?
No. The way, I'm not calling him Kulu, Decky say, the way he started, you can't leave him out. Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not. I mean, but he always goes off, doesn't he? 80 minutes, he's done. That's when you bring Gareth on.
So essentially what you're saying is, say he plays an average of 10, 15 minutes every game, or for 20 of the games in a season. Do you think that's money well spent based on the fact his wages will be astronomical, a bit like what Bobby K just said?
He's not short of money, is he? I mean, the guy's on what, 600,000 a week? 600. So he's not going to get paid that if he comes back, is he?
No.
Do you think he would accept low wages?
Get half of that.
But do you think he'd accept low wages?
Depends how much he loves the club.
Yeah. See, and another thing, which actually I think a few Spurs relatables have been saying here, he's a little injury prone. What is the difference between him and Dybala exactly? Other than the fact that maybe Dybala's a little younger here. Would you take Dybala instead?
I don't really know a lot about Dybala. I don't watch Italian football. Is he in Italy?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's
he is
he's
in
a good
Italy.
player. He's from Juventus,
Oh,
and
Juventus.
he's an Argentinian player, and he's a creative kind of player. He almost is a number 10, plays behind the striker, but also can play as a striker and off the wing as well. He's quite versatile, creative player, but does score a lot of goals. We were analysing his goals to game yesterday, me and Andre, and he gets roughly on average 15 to 20 goals a season in around 30 to 35 games. He
Yeah.
gets good goals in that league. And obviously, he's up for sale in the summer based on the fact he's not signing a new contract and his contract is expiring in the summer. So that's the debate: is would you take Dybala as well? I know maybe not the best question for yourself, but if we lead it back to Bale, maybe do you see where do you see Bale fitting in a Kante system? Would it be striker? Would it be wing back? Would it be right forward? How would you see it?
He can do it all, can he? He's got the experience to do it all. Probably on the right but he was on the left as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was. Time.
No, he was. Yeah.
I mean, if Sonny wants, Sonny needs a rest. Because he gets overplayed, so does Harry. So maybe rotating with any one of them. To be honest.
Good point.
Yeah, that's right. He can. He is a multi-positional player.
Yeah.
That would be very good. But honestly, at least on my end, I think it would depend on how much we'd be paying him, because I'm not trying to bring in someone like that who's going to get paid almost as much as Kane or something like that. I would rather that money go towards filling in the gaps we need.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's face it, we need midfielders, a defense, left-sided defense, a right back, a right wing back.
Exactly. Yesterday,
it's money wasted.
Yesterday we were saying the different position. We were going over the different positions we would need, and I think more or less, what did we come up to? Like 5, James? I think.
Yeah, five. It was like obviously a goalie to then take over from Hugo Lloris, because as we know, we need that project. Lloris will kind of bed them in. So that's one. Left wing. Not left wing. Right wing back. Obviously, we know we've got such big problems at wing back. Centre back and left centre back to replace Ben Davies. That's 3. 4 would be another centre mid in replacement of Harry Stinks. And number 5 would be a backup striker to Harry Kane, which we haven't had for a number of years. Well, since Vinicius Jr. really, not Vinicius Jr. Carlos Vinicius. So there's been 5 positions there that we should be going for in the summer, and that's not going to be cheap. That we're looking at like 150 million if you're going to do it properly. In this day and age, in this day and market. So let me do another scenario to you, and I'll get through some of the comments, Mark. So say you've got 150 million. You're Daniel Levy. You're Paratici. You're going out and spending the cash in the summer, and I say to you, you've got 50 million pounds to spend on a forward. Are you spending X amount on the wages plus a small fee, or even if we get Bale on a free or whatever it will be? Or are you going out and getting someone that's for the future that costs 50 to 60 million? That's like an Alexander Isak. I mean, he's probably going to be more than that, or a Jonathan David, someone that's going to be there for the future for like 5, 6, 7 years. Or are you going for Bale that's going to last 1 season, but he's going to be hefty on the wages, as we know, but he's not going to cost a transfer fee? What are you doing?
Oh, Kante always goes for people that are ready now, not up and coming. Not up and coming. There's none of that. Buy them and hope to sell them on in a few years for triple the money or quadruple the money. There's none of that. We need people who are ready now to come in. None of this on let's buy Sessegnon when he was whatever it was. When he was a kid, basically, and hope he develops. No, we need people now that are ready to go. So probably not Gareth Bale, to be honest, because he's sort of running his career down now.
Yeah, no, very good points. Very good points. I mean, Bobby K is saying 600k plus a week. We can't pay that madness. No. 100k max. He has to want to play for the love of the club and game and not the money himself. His choice to come over here and give himself to retire as a Spurs legend. What do you think of that? It has to be on those terms for you?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a golf course next door. Although apparently it's not very good.
Well, look, I'm always of the thing that no player is bigger than the club, and I think that he did so many good things for Tottenham. I think his return, I wasn't really a fan until after he left. To be honest, I came a little later. A few podcasts ago, I always said, the passion is just as big though. But even I got super, super excited to have Gareth Bale back, and it was a little underwhelming. He did come, he did show up in certain games and really showed his class, but consistency was my issue. And I don't know if I'm ready to sort of see an inconsistent Bale again when that is literally our season right now is inconsistency. We need players who are ready to go, like you said, but who are consistent and they want to come here to actually, to get somewhere far, and that they have a few seasons to go still, not someone who's really on the back end. And because they score 2 goals, all of a sudden it's a big deal. Scoring 2 goals should not be the biggest of deals.
No. Can you remember the taxi from Icon?
Yeah,
against
well, the hat trick, that was unbelievable. That was when he burst onto the. That was technically when he burst onto the scene, wasn't it? Like people just saw Bale as a left back at that point, and actually a backup left back at that point. I mean, and then suddenly we played him. I can't remember. Was it Harry Redknapp was the manager at the time?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he scored 3 goals, and it was just unbelievable. We lost the game 4-3 on the night.
No. The taxi from Icon was the home game when we beat.
Oh right, I see what you mean. But the hat trick away, I mean, and then we obviously won away. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Maybe any sort of concluding thoughts, Mark, in terms of like, obviously I've given you the 2 different situations. You've given your thoughts about where he'd play. Maybe going away from the Bale subject now, who are your ideal signings in the summer? Who are your, say, key, maybe top 3 picks for the summer in terms of, buying players to develop this Tottenham project that Conte's forming?
Yeah, anyone that he wants, to be honest. I'm not an expert on players. The one person I would have is James Ward-Prowse.
Great shout. Yeah.
Just to take free kicks. Stop Harry taking them.
Harry's many good things, but the free kicks, I'm like, here we go.
No.
If anything, I feel bad for the players. They know they're going to get hit in the face.
Well, yeah. That's why you see none of our people stood in the wall or the side of the wall.
Yeah, they knew. They knew. Yeah, but no, it's a good shot though. That would be a good player to have, but we'll see, because there's been that whole issue again where the overinflation of English players, it's crazy. A lot of money.
Yeah, but he's too expensive, but the rules say we got to have a certain amount. So I don't know. I'm no expert, so I don't know how close we are to getting to the top of the quota, or I think it depends if we're in Europe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's different rules in Europe, is there, than the Premier League?
Yeah,
there is.
Definitely. Yeah, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. But I like your answer initially. Like, I want what Kante wants, because that is obviously what we all want. At the end of the day, that's what we're battling against as well.
I mean, if he wants, say, player A, he gets player A, not B, C, D, or D that we normally do. Oh, we wanted him, but here's someone like him. All right, he's half his age, and he might get into him in 5 years or so.
Yeah, very, very good point. Very, very good point. Bobby K's commented, no more for the future. We need success now. We have been starved. And this is kind of what you're saying. We want those proven players already that are either like, a young talent that are already coming through like Romero. We don't want someone like, that's a bit of a gamble like we've had in the past, like an Nkudu or one of those players, Clinton and Jai. Oh yeah, they're going to be young and they're coming through. I mean, you can even put question marks about this Pepe Matassar that we've got in the ranks at is it Metz? Obviously on loan there, but obviously we bought him. Is he ready? He's 20 years old. Like, there's all these different questions.
The other one that went out on loan.
Yeah, the one that we bought.
No. Who's the one we sent out on loan in the summer? I can't remember his name.
Oh, what? Brian Hill.
Yeah. He's another one. What was he? 18?
19, 20, yeah.
19, yeah. He's not ready. We need people early 20s that are ready.
Yeah, exactly. A bit like a Romero, 23, 24, and
yeah.
he's already playing on the international stage.
Yeah.
But he's going to prove in a couple of years that he is world class. Like I said earlier on Twitter to someone that they were saying, "Oh, Romero is world class," and I said, "Do you know what? I wouldn't put Romero as world class yet. I think he's an emerging player with a lot of talent and a lot of experience. He's going to come in the next couple of years, and he's going to play in a World Cup for Argentina in December." And he's going to really prove himself on an international stage. And then you get him in the talks with the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Ruben Diaz. That's when you can brandish him as a world-class player. I think brandishing Romero as world-class already, I mean, some fans will argue to the day that he's world-class already. But for me, you've got to prove yourself on an international stage and a club stage before you can start throwing that name around. For me, anyway.
We've got to win something as well.
Yeah, you got to win something exactly. Like you don't call Eric Dyer world class. You call him a player that's solid in the squad that can do a job. But unfortunately, Eric Dyer isn't world class. That's the truth. Hugo Lloris, world class, won a World Cup.
Yeah,
club legend for Spurs. Very very good keeper. World class for me. Harry Kane, world class. Hasn't won anything, but
no.
I'd say he's world class because he's a different kind of level. But anyway, let's not go too off topic on the world class thing. Bobby K saying our whole team is inconsistent. Kane is amazing at free kicks. Scored 1 of 59 so far, even though that one was a deflection. That's so bad.
Aston Villa.
Yeah, that was one of his opening games, wasn't it? Oh,
yeah, it was.
That was under was it under Tim Sherwood? That was like 2000 and I want to say 14. It was that was a while ago. Koi says, Toffee, big yourself up, Toffee. Hope you're doing well. Bodril, Mazid, as always, is in here. Said good evening, gents. Good evening, Bodril. Mac's in here. Big up, Mac. Really, a lot of people joining now. It's about 16, 17 of you now. Big up, everyone. I would have Gareth Bale back. Absolutely scary stuff. James and Andre Bale is still, in fact, he's fit and on fire. He'd be a great addition as wing back alongside Romero and Dyer. Good evening, hashtag Bobby K. I was watching a West Ham channel today and they were talking about Gareth Bale coming to West Ham. West Ham fans are obsessed with Spurs. That's unbelievable. Gareth Bale, world class. Ellie's saying he started his career as a defender and as a left back. Yeah, could convert as a left wing back.
Yeah.
This is what
he went 20 odd games without us winning one.
Yeah.
And was it Harry Redknapp that chucked him on when we were 4-0 up against someone? And he said, look, even you can't F this up.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. And that's when he wasn't, seen as obviously a good player.
Yeah.
Yara shots, but Dave saying James, Romero is world class. Well, listen, Dave, you can come and argue your point to the cows come on in a minute, mate, if you want. That's for sure. But listen, we have got another guest waiting.
No. Right.
But Mark, absolute pleasure. Everyone give some love to Mark in the chat. Big up, Mark. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, mate. And we'll see you on the channel very soon, I'm sure.
I'll be watching in the background.
Absolute legend, Mark. Mark Cousins, everyone. Big yourself up, Mark.
Coming in, man.
Cheers, mate. All the best. Cheers, mate. There he goes. Mark there. And the comments I think are really good. They're really good. They've got some good talking points going on. Some people are saying Romero's world class. I mean, some people, that's another debate. I've just caused another debate there, Andre. That's what happens when you keep talking. Obviously a lot of the guys in the chat, Mac's in here, Bodril's in here, Ellie's in here, Toffee's in here, Bobby K. There's loads of people talking about this topic. But what better way to kick it off again with the main man? Hopefully his headphones are charged today. Hopefully he's not going to cut himself off. Let's welcome him in, guy. I can't even talk. Let's welcome him in, guys, in the chat. Give him a warm welcome. It is Jackie Burford. Jack, how you doing, my friend?
I'm amazing. How are you guys?
Absolutely brilliant, mate. And it's
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh my word! What a Friday, eh?
Yeah, this is absolutely unbelievable, Jack. I mean, it is an absolute, almost like a little mini Easter miracle, if you like. But listen, Jack, loving the shirt. I've got that one as well. I used that the whole Euros. I thought it was my lucky shirt. Wore it to the final, and we don't want to talk about that. But we can laugh at Italy today, actually, because they absolutely fucked it against North Macedonia at home and lost 1-0 in the 92nd minute. And are not going to another World Cup. Last World Cup they were at was 2010, was it? I mean, it's just yeah. So yeah. Anyway, not that I'm sour about the Euros, but it was funny. But listen, Irish Hotspur said, James, I'll be there in a bit. Big up, Mark. Harry Redknapp, great with swear words. Great shout, Mark. And sorry, boys, bus just showed up. Time to start work. Enjoy the stream, everyone. Bobby K, enjoy your shift. Hope it goes well. Hope it goes quick. And I hope it's everything you want. Bodgel saying, if we had half of Gareth Bale's goals last season, we would definitely be closer to Chelsea now. Yeah, very, very good point. And Mark saying, big up, lads. Thanks for everyone. No worries, Mark. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. But listen, Jack, top liner, top question, as you can see from the title of the video. Gareth Bale, would you take him back at Spurs for a third time? Yes or no?
I'll tell you what, maybe controversial, but I'll take him back in a heartbeat. I think he's exactly what this current Spurs squad needs. Because I think next year we need to take this risk. If we want to compete, we need someone like that. The amount of goals and assists he contributes, he's just a player who has the experience. He's been there and done it. He may be a bit old now, but I feel like if we manage him correctly, not playing him in every game, not playing him against teams that may be high press, aggressive, but playing when we need something, a bit of something special, I think he'd be perfect. If he manages minutes, if he doesn't ask for ridiculous wages, I think why not bring him home?
Bring him home. He says, bring him home with confidence. Jack, I mean, obviously, no getting around the fact that you would love to have him back, but what position would you play him in, and who does he replace in the starting 11 if you're going to start him, or maybe he comes off the bench?
So this is the argument. I think Kulusevski's been absolutely brilliant so far, and I think he's perfect for the Kante system. But I feel like we still need competition for places, and squad depth is so important. When I last come on a couple of weeks ago, I kept talking about how squad depth is so important, and bringing those players of experience and also manage them with younger players. And I think if you could swap him and Kulusevski out on the right-hand side, where he just drops in, starts on the right-hand side, but drops into that pocket of space in the middle, I think he'd be so effective there.
Okay.
Okay.
So
and
Come on, Andre.
Sorry, I was gonna say, who would he replace exactly then? Bale. If he comes in, who leaves?
I think you can replace him with like Son needs, like this season we've seen sometimes Son's a fantastic player, but he's been sluggish when we've overplayed him. You could drop him in for Son on the left hand side. You could also rotate him with Kulusevski. So I'd probably say the right hand side, switch him for Kulusevski in certain matches, I'd say.
Okay.
In certain matches, what kind of match? Are you talking like big matches, or are you talking Kulusevski starts in the bigger matches and then Bale comes in? How? I know it's a tough one to go with, but like,
I think it all depends on obviously form. Obviously, we don't have him right now, but if I was looking at it from now, if I had him, I'd manage his minutes. I'd probably play him against the teams who sit back, so like Burnley, like teams who are sit back and defensive, and probably play Kulusevski in those high tempo matches like in Man City's, Arsenal's, Chelsea's. But then the teams where you need to break down, it's 0-0 in the 70th minute. If you need someone to come on, why not bring Gareth Bale off the bench? Wouldn't that be nice?
No,
you know, someone who can take a free kick as well.
I mean, at the moment, we're struggling with squad depth. There's no getting around that. Like, even at the start of the season, when I was going to watch the games, the first player that was coming off the bench, and I know it was under Nuno, but the first player that was coming off the bench was Brian Hill. Now, that tells you everything you need to know, because Brian Hill is now on loan at Valencia in La Liga. That, for me, says everything about our squad depth. Like, we just do not have the squad depth anymore. And from what you're saying, Bale makes complete sense for that factor as well, right?
100%. You look like I kept banging on about it last time. I don't know if you remember Andre and James, but I was saying we need that balance. We need the world-class players like Jack. I love in the Kulu hair. Sorry, I'm laughing.
That's what put you off. Sorry.
Yeah, it took me off. But getting that right balance, like I think Brian Hill could be a fantastic player. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but if you had Gareth Bale and Brian Hill, who Hill can learn off Bale, I think that'd be a brilliant balance.
Yeah, very good point. Especially as Brian Hill's coming in from La Liga. Obviously, Bale having La Liga experience, he can try and convert him, because obviously Brian Hill still very much is that La Liga player that hasn't really got that kind of strength, and Bale can convert him and say, look, this is what you have to do to come back into the Prem and be a good player. And you're very right. He could really do wonders for developing the younger players. That's another thing. He's almost going to be like a mentor coming in as a coach to these players and transferring those world-class skills he has. And just advising players is huge, isn't it, in the dressing room?
Of course, being in the dressing room, having not a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner, a player who single-handedly took Wales to a semi-final of a European Championship, that in itself is an incredible achievement. Just someone who knows how to get the job done. And I think that's what we need. And even if it's just for another season, because when we brought Bale home before, I think he was fantastic, but it was behind closed doors, like the North London derby. We won 2-0, but there was only like 6,000, 10,000 fans. We need him back with a full stadium, with the crowd behind, with a Kante team where we're seriously competing next season. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you get me hyped. It is. And you're right. I mean, the fact that he didn't get that, obviously it's a sentimental factor, but he didn't get that send-off. Like, we finally got him back after all those years.
I got to see him play once at the Lane. I got to see him play against, I think it was Villa when we lost. And I was like, oh my God, I get to see Bale. I'm so excited. And he came off the bench for 20 minutes and it just wasn't that magical thing I was expecting. But just bring him back, Spurs. Let him come on, Bale. Play some golf in England. Cut your wages for it and score some goals at the Lane for us one more time.
Love it, Jack. Absolutely love it. And like I said, Ellie's loving your Kulu hair. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think you look like Kulusevski, Jack?
Oh, I don't know. It's an interesting take, but I tell you what, if I was good at football as him, I wouldn't be complaining.
Absolutely love it, mate. So Romero is very good, but can't classify him as world class yet. He's rash and gets beat in the air far too often. Needs to improve in those areas. VVD, for example, rarely makes mistakes. And this is what I'm saying. I mean, I want to get Dave on to debate this. I do want to get Dave on. I know he's coming on later, but Dave, I think this is a good point. I mean, SOS for it very much with me on this one. You can't brandish him at world class yet. Give it 1 or 2 years. Once he's played in a World Cup, once he's played on the international stage, once he's proved himself and brought out those factors in his game that are a bit sloppy, like his aerial battles. I mean, he did get out jumped by Ben Mee. I mean, Ben Mee, obviously 6 foot whatever, but the fact of the matter is he's not perfect in the air, like SOF is saying, and he can be a little bit too rash, and he runs out of fence.
I do have a stat saying he's not good in the air. I think he's won 82% of his defensive battles in the air, and that's like a record at the minute on international duty. I think apparently something I read earlier. So
is that SpursRelated stat you just read out there, Jack? Yeah, you go and find all those kind of stats.
I'm finding them right back at you, mate.
Just plugging our socials there, Jack.
SpursRelated, follow them up.
Yeah, go and follow SpursRelated on all socials for stats like that as well, guys. But no, listen, Gageta's in here as well. Big up Gageta. Nice to see you, mate. You're saying shame he couldn't score a free kick like that for us last season. Yeah, I mean, quickly before I get through the rest of these comments, Jack, what are your thoughts on Romero? Is he world class yet for you?
You know what? I think it's such an interesting debate. I think Romero is unbelievable.
No, that's not what I asked you. Jack,
I'm coming to it.
Okay,
you know me. I like to build it up, make it a bit exciting. I think he's not world class currently. I'm going to stick with you, James. But I can totally see why people are saying he's world class right now. But like you say, needs to have a couple more seasons to be in the same bracket as Van Dijk, Ruben Diaz. But he's so aggressive. His timing on tackles is fantastic. But we have seen he has a tendency to be rational, and maybe get that yellow card. Because like you say, he's so aggressive. He likes to push from the back and win those tackles nice and early to start the counter-attack. But I do think for him to become as good as Van Dijk, he needs to carry on for a couple more seasons. I want to say he's amazing. I want to say he's world class, but I think give him a bit of time. Watch him in the World Cup. Let him finish the season. Maybe give him a partnership like Skriniar, like De Vrij, and then I think we're going to have an absolute force to be reckoned with.
I agree with Jack here, and I am so happy that you're being rational about this because honestly, the thing is, world-class players don't come all the time. They're here and there, and if you go around calling every single player who plays a few games really, really well world-class, then you should maybe make another tier above world-class then, because that should be, you don't just call everyone world-class.
No, I totally agree.
And otherwise we'd be saying Matt Doherty was world-class for 3 games. Like, you can't just throw it around like that. You can't.
Yeah, there's a big thing that comes with world-class, which is more than just being a good player. You need to be one of the best players. You need to also be consistent, and you need to start winning some things. So You know, I really do think, like you said,
In my
time passes and Romero is still playing like this. Yes, he's world class at that point. At the moment, it's too early to say that.
No, in my opinion, I'd say world class is the best two free players in their position in the world, and I think Romero's definitely going to get to that. I've got no doubt about it. But you need that consistency. Like, would you say Michael Richards is world class when he burst onto the scene? Do you know what I mean? Maybe at the start, but after a while, you didn't think he was. So give Romero a bit of time. Let him show. Like, he could be one of the best centre backs in the world. Let's not rush him. He will be world class, but let's not give him that tag just yet, I'd say.
Okay. Very, very well put, Jack. Very well put, like Andre said. SOF saying Spurs need options. We're severely lacking. Scarlett shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. We'll never catch City, Liverpool, or Chelsea without adding more quality. Bale and Dybala are the answers here. I'm sure a lot of people agree with you, SOF. Brodrell saying Bale is a free spirit. Let him play around the front three. Rotate with Kulu or Son. Bale can score, take set pieces, corners, headers. He has the skills and the respect of the players. Listen, I think you're very right, Bodrell. I think you're very right. It's that mentoring to the rest of the squad, and also, like you said, he has such versatility. He can play in any of those roles: up front, wing. Probably could even put him as a wing back. I mean, I'd probably rather see him at wing back than Emerson. That's for sure. And probably Matt Doherty after time as well. So. It's very interesting points around here, guys. Guetta saying he won the Copa America with Argentina and was a big reason why they won it. Toffee saying get Bale back on a 2-year contract. I don't know. This is another debate. Is it 2 years or 1 year? I mean, for me, 2 years, Jack, is that too much?
2 years for Gareth Bale, just to see him at the lane. Oh, I wouldn't mind if he's in this 5 minutes. I'd give him a 2-year contract. Couldn't help myself, to be honest. But I haven't got Daniel Levy's pocket, so sadly I'm not in charge of that one. But
Daniel Levy hasn't got his own pocket as well, Jack. Don't worry about yourself. He hasn't got his own pockets. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 2 years for me. Why not? Why not? Get him in the side.
Well, even if he's on a walking stick on the side of the pitch, you still want to see him.
Oh, look, if he can take a free kick and he's still got that wonder of a left foot, then why not get him in there?
Yeah, he does have that left foot, right? That's yeah. I forgot about that. That'd be good.
Oh,
but
James, I've got one for you. I've got a question that I think is quite interesting. If you could only have one out of Bale and Dybala, who would you like to have?
I was just about to ask you that.
Oh.
I'm taking the presenting role.
Let's get on to that. Let's get on to that one in a bit, Jack. I'm going to keep you in for that question only because I also wanted to ask it to someone else in the waiting room that's in the waiting room right now. We'll get him in just a minute. But listen, Simply Ace in here saying, good evening, everyone. Bale would be a great addition. However, injuries is the concern, and this is all part of the debate, Simply Ace. But he's saying he still would take Bale. Mark Cousins saying we've got Virgil van Dijk. Oh no! Don't even let me get me started on Dyer. On it. Burst onto the scene. He absolutely loves that getter. If Kante wants Bale, I want Bale. Just hope he drops the Welsh Mafia rubbish. Also, not sure if he was part of basketball and cricket in training. Seems like Kante got rid of that. No Bale, please. Too much sentiment around him. I would love him, but just no. See, this is why I made this video, because I really do think it's split down the middle here. Certain people are saying yes. Certain people are saying no. It's too much sentiment. This is what the debate is. Bodrell rules with that comment. Love it. Would you guys still take Bale if it meant we couldn't sign Kulu permanently? Wow. These hook, line, and sinkers coming up here. Half his free kicks end up in the stand anyway. Yeah, listen, Bale is Bale a free? I mean, you could say Bale is a free kick specialist. Look at that goal yesterday, top bins, but how often does he do it? That's the other thing. Easily, I'd still rather see him take them than Harry Kane. Bloody hell. Easily Dybala in your debate. Dybala would demand higher wages than Bale. And I'd have Bale. Love it, Ellie. That's a class comment.
Just get them both. Why not?
Yes, get them both.
And talking about getting them both, because Jack, I do want you to stay here for the debate about Dybala and Bale, and I do want you here for the debate that I'm about to get. None other than Mr. Number 1 Irish fan, He's not. No, he's Ireland's number one answer to Harry Kane. That's how he likes the punchline. I've fucked it. Do you know what? I'm going to let him do it himself. Here he is. It's the main man, Mr. Irish Hotspur, Dave Harris. Dave, how you doing, mate?
All good. How we keep it, boys?
I'm absolutely buzzing, lad. It's Friday, end of the week, and we're talking about Bale and Bale coming to Spurs. We get our high hopes up, and we get our high hopes up about top four, which I'm still very optimistic about. But at the end of the day, it's all about your opinions now, Dave. I'm going to start off on this Romero one because I know you want to talk about it. But how are you doing as well, mate?
No, I'm absolutely buzzing. First of all, it was absolutely great to see you at the Brighton game after the game and have a conversation. I was absolutely loving life in there. I was. Harry Kane scoring, kicking the Coke bottle. I mean, it was dreams come true, my man. It was dreams come true. But yeah, look, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I'm buzzing. It's Friday. Big smile on my face. Top four is on. I've always believed. Never give up believing. I mean, life is good, my man. Life is good.
Good man. And everything all right with the flights back to Ireland and everything else?
Nearly didn't get through the airport security at Stansted, lad. There was a big, massive queue. There was like 1,000, 2,000 people waiting. And honestly, I was sprinting down to catch my flight. Honestly, it could have been catch me if you can too, lad. It was unbelievable that I had to put in heading down to the terminal. And of course, there was right down the far end as well, lad. Honestly, I was like a pig in the oven by the time I finished.
In the oven. Honestly, what is your opening line as well, Dave? So you could just help me. I've absolutely butchered it, like to the extent where it was awful.
Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy Dave at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's number one Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan.
No, you've do you know what? 90% of it is what I thought it was. It's that Edinburgh. You always say your Harry Kane's answer to Ireland's answer to Harry Kane.
I used to be Ireland's answer to Harry Kane, but Harry Kane has reached a new level, so I don't think that's fitting anymore, James.
Oh, listen, a lot of love for you in the chat here, Dave. But yeah, like I said, let's talk about the that 2,000 crowd were to see off David back home.
You know, Badra.
David Harris buzzing for Bale's comeback. Look, first of all, obviously, the talking point of the video is, would you take Gareth Bale back at Spurs? So let's leave the Romero one. Let's park the bus on that one. But Bale, did you obviously see it last night? Did you see his performance?
Yeah, I watched most of it, laddie. I thought he had a good game. Look, for me with Bale at Tottenham, look, I've had to do a lot of soul searching on this one because I was quite annoyed with him last year. I thought he could have got up to speed quicker with things in terms of fitness and stuff like that. But thinking on it, I would actually take Gareth Bale back in Tottenham, and let me tell you why. First of all, I think he'd offer good cover and good squad depth to all across the front three. He provided good option off the bench. He provides in games where teams are sitting low block and we're struggling to break them down. We don't have anybody that has good shots, long-range shots, really. Anyone that really takes them. Gareth Bale will do that. So he'll offer that threat. He'll help us in terms of that next season. Plus, it also means we can free up funds or funds that don't have to be spent up there because he'll be on a free. And you can put it into elsewhere, other positions that need strengthening, like centre midfield, centre back, right wing back. So for me, I think it would be a win-win all around. And as well, his experience. I mean, imagine what he could pass on to Kulusevski. Imagine the big game experience he could pass on to Kane and Son, how to prepare yourself for these big games and mentality-wise and everything else. I think he'll provide an awful lot to this Spurs team for 1 year and 1 year only.
Yeah, it's about that mentoring thing again, Dave. Do you think that's almost more important than the goals and assists he can provide? Do you think that's equally as important if you're going to justify to Daniel Levy to reach out on that wage book again and pay him arguably 150, 200k a week? Do you say, well, half of that money is going towards the football, but half that money is going towards developing the likes of Kulusevski, the likes of Brian Hill that's going to come back, and really igniting that dressing room and proving that winning mentality? Because at the end of the day, we don't have too many players that have won trophies. We have Lloris. We obviously have. I mean, it does stop quite quickly, doesn't it? Like at the end of the day, we haven't got much winning experience in that team. So do you think a lot of that is to do with that as well?
Well, 100%. I mean, look, he provides the know-how. He provides big game experience. He provides a lot to everybody else around him. He can maybe calm people down. But not only that, I think we're going to get a super focused and a super fit Gareth Bale. And it'd be good for all the youngsters to see how this guy prepares himself for the World Cup. because that's ultimately why he's coming here. He wants to use the best facilities in the world. Plus, as well, we do offer, there's a couple of holes at Tottenham Hotspur Way, I believe. So he'd be able to play a bit of golf there as well. So he'd be absolutely buzzing. And he'd fit in really well with Harry Kane. Him and Harry Kane, they can have chats and everything else. And he would just rub off on the rest of them. And plus, Kante's been asking for that experience, that know-how. Someone that when he brings off the bench, he can rely on, that he knows he's going to get quality. But also that us fans know that Gareth Bale, even if you're taking off a Son or a Kulusevski or a Kane, that Gareth Bale can come on and he has that moment in him. He has that bit of quality. I just think he'd be very good for Tottenham all around. I think Kante, look, Kante has to want him. Kante has to have the final say on him. I love that. Big up Ben Davies. The Welsh Mafia will be coming back. But look, I think obviously Kante has to want him, but I can't see why he wouldn't when he's been calling for players with that know-how, that experienced players that are for the here and now. And Gareth Bale can definitely offer that, or at least offer a very good option off the bench. Or when we do have the games coming in thick and fast, you can put him in during midweek. You can put him in them cup games to ensure you still have that bit of experience, that goal threat in them sort of games. So for me, I think he provides a very good option.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into the positions a little bit later. Like you said, he adds that versatility, and I think it's interesting. Just a quick one, Dave. Do you think he can play wing back?
No, I think when you're looking at the Premier League and the pace that it's played at now, and that you have to be up and back, you're not going to get that from Gareth Bale. I mean, we've seen it last year. If you go back to the Arsenal thumping we got, even though Matt Doherty was getting roasted by the same move every single time, Gareth Bale still didn't want to come back and help him. Look, you're not bringing in a 34-year-old to track back. But what you could do is you could put him up front and get Harry Kane to maybe drop a bit deeper, get him to feed him the likes of Son, somebody like that, or Kulusevski. So for me, you can also put him on for Kulusevski or put him on for Son. For me, he would have to be up in the forward areas. I don't think he has the legs or the desire to be playing up and down the pitch. He's not a track back sort of player. You don't bring him in for that. He's world class. You bring him in for that threat he can pose up front.
Yeah. No, very good points. Very good points. And SOS saying, and this is where the debate comes in, right, Dave? Just actually very quickly before I do get that debate, Jackie boy, Jack, what are your thoughts? So do you agree with Dave on the whole wing back situation? Do you think the Premier League's very much a game where you do need the legs, the likes of Reguilon that can run up and down that wing for like 90 minutes? Or do you think Bale could do a job for maybe 60 minutes at left wing back? Or what are your thoughts?
No, to be fair, I totally agree with Dave on that one. I think Gareth Bale can do anything if he puts his mind to it, but I don't think his legs can. I think he needs to listen to his body a bit more, and I think his wing back days are over. I think we'll keep him at the pitch, definitely take him back, but no, let's manage his minutes and not put him on the fullback.
Yeah, no, good point. I like that about the legs. I mean, his legs. Listen, his legs said otherwise the other day. I mean, he was hobbling around on 92, but he did play 92 minutes last night for Wales and put in a proper shift. But then we'll probably hear about an injury where he can't play for 2 weeks. Or
his love for his James is something else. His love for his country is like he will die for it.
100%.
Well, I got something to say here, and I'm sure Jack has seen my hot takes, and James, you too. Look, I would love to have Bale back, but the reality is, at the moment, for Real Madrid this season, he has played 5 games. 5 games, 1 goal. In comparison, Vinicius Jr. has played around 39 games. So when you do the math, the amount of money you're going to pay him, even if it's under 200,000, is it worth it to pay a player like that amount of money for someone who might potentially get injured and only play 5 games this season?
Yes.
But the thing with that though, Andre, is you got to think that he's out of favour at Real Madrid. The fans don't like him. The manager doesn't really like him, especially Zidane didn't. I know it's Ancelotti now, but he doesn't really fit Ancelotti's system. And the other thing is, Bale's just sucking up the money there. He's running out his contract. He's playing a bit of golf in Madrid, like we all know he does. You know, Wales, golf, Madrid in that order. We know his agenda. We know how we know how his mindset works. Vinicius Jr. on the other hand, don't get me started on that guy. He is the most overrated youngster in the world. You've got my fact there. He is never ever going to be at a world class level like up here. I mean, I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I watched him in that El Clasico. Honestly, I'd rather put Clinton and Jai up front than him. He is absolutely pony. And the other thing is, like I said, I mean, Vinicius Junior may be playing 39 games, but that doesn't really say that Bale shouldn't come to Spurs. That tells me that Real Madrid can't fit him in their system, and the fans
No, I don't
like
think they
him.
appreciate him enough.
They don't appreciate
it's
him.
kind of it's slanderous how they treat him. And look, he's won Champions League finals single-handedly for them. And the way I think it's so disrespectful. I think he's still a brilliant player, and they need to snap out of it, the Spanish media and Real Madrid fans.
Yeah,
and he was also in the same situation when we signed him last time. He still provided us with 12 goals.
Yeah, exactly. This point from SOF is the one I wanted to get your thoughts on, Dave, and Jack as well, maybe after. But Bale was here as a mentor, and we finished 7th. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's factual. Anyway, it's factual. That's 100% for sure. There's no room for kind of scope there. But what I will say is we have to understand. It was pre-Poch era. We were going through Jose Mourinho. I don't think the board saw Jose Mourinho as long term. I thought they saw him maybe as a 2-3 year. But with Kante, I do think that they do see it as a bit of a long term project. Someone that someone that they believe in, and I do think he'll be coming back into something a little bit more settled than what I was under Jose Mourinho. To be fair.
Okay.
Our back line was pretty poor. We didn't have Romero or anything like that.
That's what I was going to say.
I will say that, Bale can only do so much. He's at the front of the team, not at the back. He's not going to be yelling at the defense to do their job all the time. He has to focus on scoring, passing. So, that's a different story there, SOF.
I'd quickly say that I think Bale, Kane and Son, they had one of the most goals as a front three in Europe at the time. I think they were doing fantastic. I think it was the midfield and defence that let us down. And don't forget, we were probably in the top 4 battle with 6 games to go. And we had Ryan Mason instead of Jose Mourinho. At that time, it was all a bit of a, do you know what I mean? No one really knew what was going on. We just sacked Jose Mourinho before a cup final. We were only 6 points off top 4, 3 points off top 4. And I don't think it was really the front three's fault, to be honest.
Yeah, spot on, Jack, spot on.
I like this guy.
Yeah, he's good. He's funny more where he came from. Mate, he's been on We Are Tottenham TV and a lot. Jackie Burford has. This guy's.
Get me up there, Dave. If you ever need me on, it'd be a pleasure.
No bother, man. No bother. We'll get you on for sure.
There you go. Look, deals happening on SpursRelated. It's not just a fan show. We got deals going on left, right, and centre. All the best deals here. But listen, a question SOS has again is honest question: was Bale on the field for any of our big wins last season? Did he have a significant goal against the big 6 teams? I feel like this is a rhetorical question, SOF. I feel like the answer is no, but I guess the debate is. Well, seriously, it wasn't really a question. It was like, well, obviously I'm going to say no, but in all seriousness, the question on the spin-off would be, I guess what he's saying is, do you think Bale can provide still in the big games?
But we wouldn't be bringing him in for that reason. You have Son, Kane and Kulu, and you hopefully maybe a Dybala or somebody else. But you're bringing in Bale not for them reasons, but for the other games further down the Premier League and for cup games. When games are coming in thick and fast, that you can throw him in there or someone to come off the bench. That's what you're bringing him in for. You're not bringing him in to start week in, week out and playing a lot of them big games.
Yeah. So go on then, Dave. Right. So say you've got Arsenal and you've got the choice of Kulusevski, Brian Hill, and Gareth Bale to play as your right forward in a 3-4-3 that we've been playing at the moment. Who do you play to start with? Who comes off the bench at minute 60, 70, whatever you decide? How do you play that game plan?
Well, for me, you got to stick with Kane, Son, and Kulu, and you just bring Bale off the bench when needed. Or like we've seen this season, at times Kane has looked tired, at times Son has looked tired, and they've been playing needless games during the week, which maybe if we had better options, they'd be rested. So for me, that's when you bring Bale in, but you always start with your Kane, Son, and Kulu. I mean, look at the three of them. They can create chances amongst themselves. They all run off each other. They don't really need anybody else to help them. But the whole idea is that when you we've all been screaming for it. Son looks tired, Kane looks tired, Kulu looks tired, but we don't have the options. And if you do bring on a Lucas or a Bergwijn, you don't know what you're going to get. At least with Gareth Bale, you kind of know what you will get from him. And for me, he's just an option to have off the bench. If you have a last-minute free kick, and you might bring Bale on, let him have a crack. You never know. There's a lot he can bring to this team. And look, we at Tottenham can't sit there and moan about wanting squad depth, and then when the opportunity arises to be able to bring it in any shape or form, and then we oppose it, we're not in a position to do that.
No,
You know
we're
what the
really not.
issue is really? It's the fact that we're so used to having to pick between one or another player because Levy's always very stingy about who he brings in. If it was up to me, I would move on Bergwijn and Moura and bring on Dybala and Bale, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would rather that. Because, yeah, I won't lie. The goals that Bale scored last season were so disgusting in a good way. I usually had to get out of my seat for a second because he would either make a defender just slide out of the stadium, or he would just make his way through 3 or 4 players and score, or from very far away, which is something that we are missing.
The only thing with bringing Bale and Dybala in and getting rid of Lucas and the Bergwijn is Bergwijn's 24, 25. Lucas is, I believe, late 20s. And then you're bringing in a 32-year-old, nearly 33, and a 28-year-old. So essentially, you're aging your squad. So do you age your squad? I mean, then there's the whole debate: is Bergwijn good enough? Is Bergwijn good enough?
Well, why would you keep a player who really isn't doing anything?
Who, Bergwijn or Lucas?
Bergwijn.
Because for me, I would keep Lucas, and I'd probably move on Bergwijn because we know we can get a fee for him now. Lucas, I feel like he's going to be a player in a year's time. We're going to let go on a free when his contract runs out. He's probably going to go to the MLS or maybe even back to Liga or maybe even to maybe a Toby Alderweireld route. But for me, I would keep Lucas now because he is a really good super sub. And yes, he hasn't been performing recently, but let's just not forget he was one of our players of the season at the start of the season. And he really did almost carry Spurs through a lot of those wins. He did score a lot of important goals. And there we'll get a debate about Lucas doesn't score enough and all that. And we know that. But I just do not think Lucas goes. I mean, what do you think, Jack?
I'm a massive advocate of Lucas as well. I think, like you say, he bleeds Spurs. Like, it's not all about bleeding Spurs. Harry Winks bleeds Spurs, and to be honest, we can definitely move on from him. But I think we got to keep Lucas. I think he's got fantastic qualities. I think the way he drives with the ball through the centre is really effective. Yes, he might miss a bit of end product, but definitely, I'd rather get rid of Bergwijn, maybe to Ajax, get a good fee, invest that in maybe Dybala and Bale, or another young player to complement one of the two. But yes, keep Lucas for me.
Gageta's saying I guess he's saying he wouldn't. Finally, no Lucas sentiment from Andre. And you're saying you'd keep him, Jack. What about you, Dave? You keeping Lucas, or would you get rid of him in the summer if someone came up with an offer?
I'm sorry to do this because I know Lucas is a big fan of this channel, but look, for me, right, just hear me out. Lucas, yes, he had a good patch during this season. He's had good patches during other seasons. But since Kulusevski has come in, nobody's talking about the lack of creativity or end product from the right-hand side because the guy is just delivering it most games. With Lucas Moura, you just don't know what Lucas Moura you're going to get, unfortunately. He's a very, very frustrating player. And for me, we were keeping him in the team on the basis of he works hard. Now, I get that. Every player that you want at Tottenham, ideally, that should be the basic, working hard. That should be your basic level. But, with a guy like Lucas, you expect more. And for me, we can never get ourselves back into a situation where because he works hard, he plays in the team. That's not what Tottenham Hotspur should be about. If we want to go on and win trophies, we have to move on from that. Working hard, like I said, should be the basic. You want players with end product. Kulusevski has come in at 21, and the guy's already provided just as much end product this season as Lucas has, and he's only come in at the end of January. He's been here, 2 months now? It's what Lucas has provided to the team as in terms of attacking output is not good enough. And when he was in the team, we were scapegoating a lot of his end product by putting it on Emerson. Now, now that Kulu's in there, nobody's talking about the lack of end product coming from the right wing back area at all. Yeah. So for me, look, with Lucas, I get it. He works hard, but we got to move on from that. He's not adding to the team. He's never going to help us win a Premier League. He's never going to help us win a Champions League. And I know he got us to a final, and I thought he was hard done by not starting that final. But you're never going to win any of these trophies with him in the team or with him coming off as an option from the bench, in my opinion. Same as Steven Bergwijn. Look, the guy's come in. He's had 2 years. We've bought in Kulusevski, and he's already staying in the team ahead of him. You've got to ship him on. He's just not good enough.
See, I
agree. If I could give you a handshake from the screen, I would. Because
yeah,
this is what I've been saying for weeks about Winks as well. It's not about lack of effort. I think Winks gives 100% effort for this team. And I am always going to advocate for whoever wears the Spurs shirt to do well. But sometimes effort and talent are in 2 different levels. And sometimes, you're just going to have to really face the facts, take yourself out of the box for a second and look and be like, okay, his effort's here, but the talent he's making is here. Sometimes it's up here, but it's mainly here. And we can't do that. We need players who are always going to be up there. We don't need a player who's going to be good in patches.
The thing is, if we don't want to be where we've been the last 2.5 years, you have to move on from this current crop. Yes, some of them were part of the Pochettino era and they gave us good memories, and some have been brought in by the Jose Mourinho era and they try. But it's not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. Look at the frustration in the fan base, the frustration in some of our star players. They want quality around them, and some of these guys are just not good enough. Look, thank you. You've come in. You've done a job. You've wore the jersey with pride. But at the end of the day, that's just not enough if we want to win trophies.
Yep. And I think we should do it now before he leaves on a free. And same thing with Bergwijn. We should do it now while Ajax is interested and get some money for him. Just bring on Bale, bring on Dybala. They're free. They're going to be their wages are going to be pretty high. So we need to make some space and then use that money towards other players that we need desperately. And I think that refresh, that sort of mindset of people who are inconsistent to people who have been very, very good in the past and are still arguably very decent, they're just not favored in their club, can come into this team at the front and change things. Like what a great front it would be if it's Decky, Kane, and Son up top, and when one of them's tired, you have the option to bring in Bale or Dybala.
And the thing is as well, if we want to compete next season with the likes of a City, a Liverpool, or Chelsea, you've got to have the squad depth they have. Look at the depth they have in all them forward areas.
See, that's something
a lot of them are all world-class players. And they can just take out 2 players, bring in 2, and they still go and win games. If we want to be able to do that, you're not going to do that by resting Son and Kulu and bringing in Lucas and Bergwijn. But you have a good chance if you're bringing in Dybala and Bale.
Yep. And when you really think about it, when you stack each one, Bale next to Lucas and Bergwijn, or Dybala next to those 2 players, both of those players, you would bring them on before bringing on Bergwijn or Lucas. And to me, I'm like, those 2 would fit perfect to replace the other 2. Just, it's sad, but if you're thinking about doing this Kante project, he's not going to be waiting around forever for you to make up your mind to sell a player. So, I think bring in those 2, sell the other 2. That's where I stand.
Love it. I love Ben Davies saying I can't see Winks going unless we bring in more English players. Dave, let me ask you this question, and then I'll ask it to Jack as well. If I said to you got to sell 3 players this summer, who is it?
Winks is number 1 anyway. The guy's just not good enough. Since Bentancur has come in, you can clearly see what a centre midfielder is supposed to do. You look at the way Winks plays, he's a stat padder. You look at the way Bentancur plays, has warning triangles flashing up all around it with the way he plays the balls forward first time. It's benefited Son, Kulusevski, and Kane. Look at the output that they've had going forward since this guy's come into midfield. He's everything we need, and he's completely exposed Harry Winks, in my opinion, because he's everything Harry Winks wishes he would be. I think he's younger than Harry Winks as well. Look, Harry Winks' is first one gone. Sanchez's second one gone. I think the guy is absolutely calamitous. Yes, he may be good from set pieces, but the guy should honestly get a job as a groundsman. He loves eating grass. He can't stay on his feet. So for me, he's got to go. And my third one, oh lad, this is killing me. I'd probably sell Doherty as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
I don't think he's good defensively. Yeah, look, I don't think he's good enough defensively. A lot, like you look at United, they targeted him from the very off, nearly got a goal straight away. West Ham's goal came from Doherty, ball over his head, got his feet mixed up, gave away the corner, and then didn't win the ball in the air from the corner kick. And then you look at Middlesbrough, he was close to giving away 2 goals from corner kicks. He gave away the winner against United from a corner kick. Defensively, Doherty is not good enough. I want a better option going forward.
Love it.
Interesting.
Love it.
Let's
Holly's
get Jack's
saying
take on this
as soon as
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just thought if we both talk, they both understand us. No, Holly's saying, the Wingsy chat begins as soon as I arrive. As soon as we're talking about Wings being the number 1 option to go out, yeah, big yourself up, Holly. I hope that doll is out your window by now. That ridiculous Harry Winks doll. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Mark saying, remember when we used to have multiple strikers, not just Harry? Yeah. You know, the likes of Soldado and Janssen were quality. No, in all seriousness, though, we did. I was saying this the other day, like Jermaine Defoe, when we were doing about Jermaine Defoe yesterday, and we had the, topic about him. I said, remember the days when we had Defoe, Robbie Keane, Pavlyuchenko, Berbatov, Kanute, who?
Darren Bent was in there for a while.
Man, you've ruined it. You've ruined it, Dave.
We honestly used to have like 4 strikers.
No, we did. But at one point, Andre, pack it in. But at one point, we had Defoe, Keane, Pavlyuchenko, and Crouch all in the same squad, didn't we? And now it's Harry Kane and Dane Scarlett. Yeah, that's it. Levy won't sanction it, but make a statue of Lucas and that Ajax and move him on. Yeah, I guess it's this sentimental factor again. And like Dave said, Lucas Moura follows Spurs related. So, I'm never ever going to talk down on this guy as much as some people. And genuinely, like, not even being biased, I still do think he is a good squad player. You said about squad depth. For me, he still provides options off the bench. Yes, he hasn't been great in recent weeks. I'm sure he'd be saying that himself, but we know he's got the potential and he bleeds Spurs. When you want someone to run his legs off in the last 10-15 minutes for North London derby, you probably normally look to Lamella because he would just run like a headless chicken, get a yellow card and probably break like Jack Wilshere's legs back in the day or something like that. But at the end of the day, also, Lucas does put in a massive shift. And I know you're saying, Dave, you can work hard doing your day job, but I understand that. But it's also the fitness and the willing to... A lot of players these days... I know we don't want them in this team, but there are a lot of players even in the team still don't want to run their socks off for 90 minutes. It's a fact. Like Bale, we got rid of because of that factor. Lo Celso, we got rid of because of that factor. There's so many... These players don't come around too often that will run until they get subbed off. That is my honest opinion on that.
I think there are a lot more players that do that. We've just been bringing in the wrong ones.
But the thing is, if we have better quality on the ball, we won't be chasing the ball as much. And this is what I've been saying since the Jose Mourinho era. It's all well and good, us Spurs fans wanting us to play this beautiful, poetic football, push and run. If you don't have the technical ability to be able to do it, you can't do it. And you're constantly chasing the ball or looking to win the ball back. But if you have better quality players on the pitch, on the ball, well, then you keep the ball majority of the game.
Facts. I love it.
And we'll end on facts, and we'll go to the final talking point of this Fan Phone-In Friday. And this goes to Jack, Dave, Andre, throwing the question out there. But I'm going to let Dave start on this one because I was going to let him start and rant on this one as soon as he joined. Dave knows exactly what I'm talking about. The question is Romero world-class yet? At this current moment, is world-class. And I made the point earlier, I'm saying he's not yet, and I think it was SOF that agreed with me, saying... Well, Romero has got these attributes to be a world-class player. We've seen sparks, well, not even sparks, pretty consistent, signs that he is going to be a world-class player for me. But he has to do it on an international scale. He has to do it for a number of years, because this is what I'm saying. And it's like Andre said, you can't just tarnish someone world-class, in my opinion, again, if they haven't proved it for a series of years. And world-class does get thrown about a lot these days. I'm sure Dave will agree with me, but I think give him the World Cup, prove on an international stage he's absolutely solid, then the world sees him as a world-class player, 2 years down the line, he'll be in the same sentence as Ruben Diaz and Virgil van Dijk. And some people will say he is already in that category. But for me, he's still 23, 24 years old. He's still developing as a player. He's going to go on to bigger levels. So like Andre said again, if he goes on to bigger levels, what's the step up from world class? So that's where I'm starting things off on this debate. Over to the Irish Hotspur for his take on this one.
No, look, I hear you, but why do we have to wait for the world to decide that he's world class? Why can't we decide at Tottenham what players are world class, what players you think potentially have all the attributes to be at that level? Why can't they be world class at Tottenham? I mean, look, I look at Romero's defending compared to some of the other defenders we have in the squad. It's pure proactive. I mean, look at what he done against West Ham with Mikel Antonio. Mikel Antonio's favourite thing to do is hold up the ball and get West Ham up the pitch. Romero says, okay, you can do that because you're stronger than me. But what he done then is put his boot through his legs to dislodge the ball or around him to dislodge the ball. He didn't let him hold it up. Look, one area in his game which is a weakness is set pieces, free kicks, corner kicks. I agree with that. But all other aspects of his game is world class. You look at another piece he done against West Ham. Won the ball back in the corner, done 2-1-2s, and he skipped out of there like Mary Poppins. It was unbelievable, right? The guy on the ball, his composure is quality. For me, the only thing he probably does lack is from set pieces, but everything else he does is absolutely world class. And just because the world doesn't want to see it and don't want to label him world class, I don't care what players do at Tottenham. And for me, I think he is world class.
Okay. I think Agate agrees with you. He's saying he's done it and still doing it on the world class stage, on the international stage. Mark's saying not yet, but he will be. I mean, I guess the point is the point that I want you to kind of address, Dave, is if he's world class for you now and he then progresses further and further, what do you? I know maybe we're being picky, but what do you then brandish him as if he does go up more levels? What is he? You know,
World class.
But is he like? That's the thing. Like, this
why
is
do we
why
have
I'm.
players to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich to brandish the world class?
You don't, because Harry Kane's world class, and everyone will agree on that, and he plays for Tottenham. It's nothing to do with what club he's at. I'm saying, for me, Harry Kane's done it for 5, 6, 7 years consistently. People said he was a one-season wonder in 2014, 15, and he wasn't. He went and did it year in, year out, got 2 to 3 Ballon d'Ors, was up for, not Ballon d'Ors, Christ, I'm in a world of my own this evening. He got 2 to 3 Golden Boots. He's been up for nominations for Player of the Year. Like, he's recognised on a world scale, on a world-renowned scale. And I'm saying it again, and I know what you're saying, why do we have to wait for the world to recognise it? But what I'm saying is, it's that consistency for year on year and year. And I think that's what makes you a world-class player. For me, I get what you're saying. Like, we know his quality. A lot of other fans, even in the Premier League, don't realise how good he is yet till maybe their team plays against Romero. But he has only played, I believe, is it 18 games for Spurs? It's not as many as you think. So, obviously,
he was unbelievable in Serie A at Atlanta as well, though.
But would you say at Atalanta he was world class then?
He won Serie A Player of the Year, didn't he? Or Serie A Defender of the Year. He had like most ball recoveries and everything else. His stats were world class at Atlanta.
But is Serie A how are you ranking Serie A in world leagues? Top 3, top 4?
Yeah, definitely in top 5 in my opinion.
It's an interesting. Jack, what are your thoughts on this, mate?
Down Atlanta because we bought him to improve our squad.
Okay. Jack,
what I would.
Go on.
Right, I think Dave. I love it. That I think Romero is unbelievable. But what I would say is, I think he's not world class yet, but there's no doubt in my mind that he will be. And I think he's amazing. But I think at Atalanta, he was a fantastic defender. I wouldn't say he was world class just yet, as he had done it for one season. Definitely best player, best defender there, but I don't think he's world class just yet. I think the reason we managed to get him from Atalanta was because he was on the brink of world class, and we managed to get a fantastic coup and bring him in. I think if he was world class, we probably would have struggled to manage to get him in the squad. But no doubt he will be, but not world class just yet.
Okay. I think you're spot on, Jack. That is pretty much my opinion. Holly, welcome on in, by the way. We'll get your thoughts in just a minute. How are you doing anyway? You right?
Yeah, I'm back from Spoons. I'm loving life.
Love it. You've had a little break from Spoons. Steve's saying world class used to be top 3 in your position. Romero world class. My arse. I think this is for Dave. Dave, what are your thoughts? You used to say it's top 3 in your position in the world. Is Romero top 3?
No.
So he's saying. I'm
Look,
guessing he's saying.
Look, that's Steve's definition of world class. If they have to be in the top 3, that's up to him. For me, I'm looking at what I see on a week in, week out basis from this guy, and I'm just going to say he's world class. Look, I'm well aware people think it's delusional. I mean, when we first signed him, I said this guy is better at his age now than what Virgil van Dijk was at his age, and he will go on to be better than Virgil van Dijk. I said it on my channel, We Are Talking TV, and I've been laughed at. But now everybody is sitting there going, he could be world class, but he's not world class yet. But then you will end up saying he's world class, trust me. And look, Steve, in terms of the way you want to support the club, I'm not here to tell anybody how to support the club. If you want to support without being delusional, that is fine by me. If I want to support it by being delusional, I'm very happy to do so. Puts a smile on my face, and that's all that matters. And what matters, Steve, is we're both Spurs fans. We both support the same club, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely love it, Dave. Absolutely love it. And no, at least you admit you're delusional as well, Dave, because a lot of fans will sit there and actually talk delusional comments. I'm not saying you're delusional either.
A lot of fans want to support the club like me. They just don't want the hate that comes with it.
You see, let's get over to the new person in the chat. Obviously, Holly, fresh from Spoons, maybe your alcoholic beverages will play a part in this one. But listen, is Romero world class?
I think it's quite difficult. I mean, we've spoken about tonight, obviously, like Dave said, we brought him in to improve our squad. And I think he has done that. You look at Dyer now and you think to yourself, hang on a minute, Dyer's playing to his best of his abilities. And it's been a long time since we've seen Dyer do that. So I think Romero is definitely up there. I just hope that he can carry on this form, if that makes sense. Like we've all said, he's got the qualities to become world class. It's just whether he can stay consistent at providing it, shall we say.
I agree. That's facts there.
Facts already, straight in with the facts. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, we could argue about this for absolutely, days on end. But Holly, for you with Romero at Atalanta, was he world class at that point? Because then there's the debate about, obviously, most of his experiences in Serie A. Dave saying it's top 3, 4, 5 leagues in the world. For you, does he have to prove himself in the Premier League and at international level too? I guess that's what your point was kind of saying. But do you think that is where you draw the line? You have to say you have to be in the Premier League, do it for season on end?
I think so. I mean, we all know the Premier League is the best league in the world. So if you're going to prove it somewhere, it's going to be in that league. We've had defensive issues for as long as I can remember, since the days of, obviously, Dawson, Ledley King. They were the best days of our lives in the defensive kind of structure. So to be able to replicate that kind of thing, I think we've waited a long time. And I'm hoping, God forbid it, I say Dyer is in part of that mix, but Dyer and Romero have been doing it week in, week out so far. So it's just, again, it's a matter of whether they can keep doing that consistently in the Premier League. And if they do that, then they're proven that they're world class. But yeah, and your point of Romero, again, I think it's just time will tell.
And as well, James, let's not diminish the Serie A. Our last 3 signings, who have all come in and dramatically improved our fortunes on the football pitch, where have they come from?
Yeah, Serie A. Serie A.
There you go. I'm not teams are turning to the Serie A to bring in players as well. Italy just won the Euros, my man.
But I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying. But is Bentancur world class? Then you start having to say to yourself, well, there's kind of the line there. Well, Dave's thinking about it. Dave's thinking about throwing it on Bentancur's name as well.
Oh no!
I did nickname him Benta Class, lad.
He's in his own class. Oh, listen, Steve's still going on about his theory. Like, listen, I love the passion from Steve tonight. He's saying world class equals the best sides in the world would sign him. Kane would improve the best sides in the world. Romero, not yet. What are your thoughts on that panel?
Barcelona wanted him, didn't they? They just couldn't afford him because of the financial troubles.
True. But does Romero go into Real Madrid's team? Probably does at the moment, actually. Does
100%.
Does Romero get into PSG's team?
Well, I mean, you look
Yeah,
at
100%. 100%. 100%.
Okay. Holly, what about you? Does Romero go into PSG's team?
On his current form, yes. But again, I'm going to go
It's
back
world
to
class,
consistency
just
all the
admit
time.
it.
I don't know. I think it's because of his injury, the injury stint he had that was quite a long kind of stint in the Prem. You can't really, it's really hard to weigh it up. It is. But if you're talking to me, say, halfway through next season, I'd probably have to convert and say world class. But at the moment, I think it's too soon, I think, sadly.
Okay. Interesting. Andre, Jack, any further thoughts on this before maybe we switch the subject before we all get world classed out?
Well, yeah, let's get my thoughts in here. First, I'd like to say, Dave, I admire your passion.
Sorry, if you read a script, what's going on here? Like, you're starting off by, like, what's going on here?
Well, I had stuff to say, but I was like, let's get everyone's thoughts first. So, yeah, Dave, I admire your passion, but I think our defense has been so bad that when a really good player comes in, he looks world-class right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I do think I agree 100% with Holly here. I think that he can be world-class. It's very apparent that he will become world-class if he keeps this up. I think it's too soon. And in terms, Dave, when you said, why do we have to wait for the world to decide that he's world-class? Well, it's in the name, world-class. The whole world decides that he is one of the best.
But the thing is, what I meant by that,
Oh,
that is a fair point. But what I meant by that is like, we're not playing in the Champions League. We're not playing on the European stage. And that's not Romero's fault. So they're not getting to see how good he is week in, week out. But if he was, trust me, a lot of them big teams would come calling. They already came calling in the summer. They couldn't get him.
Oh, and I'm sure, what is it? No matter what team you're in, if you're world class, you will stick out. And he's already starting to. He's really good. I've always, I've almost every podcast I have some criticisms for him to fix, but that's because I talked about the standard for each player and how when a player is very good, I'm going to look at him from this standard rather than this one. So the small mistakes he makes, I will look at them and be criticizing them, especially when we're doing a match review or something like that. But I do think that if he keeps this up, and he keeps working on himself on those small things that he's messing up a little bit on. For example, those really intense slide tackles where he just swipes players like that. I think, yeah, he will become world class. And I really think I'm really happy that he's at Tottenham and I'm hoping that he's the start of many more players to come from that level to Tottenham. But at the moment, it's too early to tell. We'll have to wait maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. If he keeps up that consistency, then sure. Look at Dele Alli. He was meant for great, great, great things, and he just dropped all the way. And it made a lot of us sad when that happened. I know James and I were really upset when it was confirmed, when we were doing the final deadline day, and it was confirmed that Dele Alli left on a transfer. It was quite shocking. But that's what separates world class. Jose Mourinho said it perfectly to him. The best players, they go up and they stay up there. They're not constantly swerving around, not sure on whether or not to be consistent or not.
Look, yeah, I think that's the hook, line, and sinker you said at the end there, Andre. Like, one more thing, I know I feel like I'm slaughtering David, but Dave, like against Burnley, when Ben Mee out jumped Romero, what were your thoughts there? Was he still world class that day?
Well, I mean, Virgil van Dijk came back and made a few mistakes after his injury. No one didn't say he wasn't world class because of a couple of errors. At the end of the day, with the back line the guy's playing in, there's going to be some amount of pressure on him. And every world class player makes a mistake across the back line. Let's not sit here and pretend they don't, because they do. But because Virgil van Dijk came back from his injury, a long-term injury, and had a couple of mistakes against Liverpool, we don't sit there and call him not world class.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
Well, don't forget, if you're going to name someone world class that easily, then you might as well make another tier above it, because clearly they're going to get better.
I wouldn't say it that easily. What I would say is I'm just not afraid to say it ahead of the curve. I don't have to sit there and wait for years to tell me he's world class. I can see a player and I can call it. I'm ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Ahead of the curve.
I can respect that. Can we
brand a shit ahead of the curve? Dave Harris, world class. That's what we go for. There's the line, guys. There's the line. But no, interesting one. I thought that was you actually created that talking point yourself there, Dave, in the chat earlier, because I was saying about he's not quite world class. I think a lot of people agree, but also people agree with you, Dave, on the ahead of the curve, Dave Harris world-class system. So, maybe we'll hear more about this later on. We'll know about Kulusevski being world-class, no doubt, on the Irish Spurs soon. So make sure you get over there and hear all about that first. But listen, I wanted one more final thoughts, because obviously Ollie joined after the Bale debate. So, Holly, a lot of people were saying they would take Bale back in a heartbeat. There was a few people that were saying, the sentimental factor is overriding it here. He hasn't got the legs anymore. He wouldn't be a starter. For you, where are you at on that kind of level? Would you take Bale back in a heartbeat, or are you more towards, not for a third time? That's one too many.
I mean, 3 is the magic number if I'm going to say anything. But I think it's very difficult. I think with Spurs, as we all know, the high and mighty seem to not want to splash their cash. So it depends what his wage bracket is, I think, is the thing that will come down to. But for so many years, we've been like, we might have had the depth, but we haven't had the quality. I think at times now we don't really have the depth, and we also don't have the quality. So if we can manage to get Bale in, regardless maybe of if it's a cheaper fee, I wouldn't say no. I mean, it's the whole talk about Dybala as well. The fact that obviously he's leaving Juventus on a free, I'm probably taking a bit of a turn here. But if it means bringing in these players that will ideally sit on the bench and make an impact, why not? Because you look at other teams, but you look at Man City's bench, for example, they might be right at the top there of the teams that have so many players that will just come on and make an impact. At Tottenham, you're thinking to yourself, who do we have to come on that's going to change the game? You could have Lucas as a strong argument, but who else? I think if it's there and it's at a fee that's not too high, because obviously he's probably fallen out of Real Madrid once again, you're thinking to yourself, why not go for it? Because it'll be someone to come on for the bench that will make an impact, and will make an impact. He's proven in the Premier League. He did it against I can't remember who they played yesterday, but Wales, the free kick he made. How many times are we screaming out for a free kick taker? I don't want to be seeing Kane standing over it ever again.
No more.
If I could choose Bale over that, of course I'd take it. So I think on that kind of stance, you're thinking, why not? Why not go for it? It just comes down to the wage packet and where we are in the summer in terms of, do we get another defender? Do we sort out those wing backs? And then do we have enough cash to splash on Bale? I think that's the kind of way I'm kind of looking at it.
Yeah, it's a really good point at the end there as well about the priorities. You'd rather prioritise wing back, left centre back, potentially another centre mid to get rid of your friend, and that is where you got to prioritise over obviously getting Bale back on a little bit of a off chance that he's going to be available, and he will add obviously squad depth, but not necessarily going to be starting too many games. Obviously, we've got to remember he's nearly 33. He was getting cramped from minute 80 yesterday, but like Dave said, he does put his heart and soul into it, but the fitness factor is a big part. So I do think your point about the prioritising other positions in the summer, which is meant to be our main rebuild for goodness knows how many years, I think that's a really key point for sure. Absolutely. And great talking points as always, guys. Thank you so much to all the panel for joining. Jack Burford, Jack, absolute pleasure to have you on as always, mate. Anywhere where people can find you, or are you very much sort of a Rey Mysterio? That's not Rey Mysterio.
Oh, don't worry. Things are in the works. Don't worry. It's going to happen. I'm just waiting to come out with a bang. And then Jack Burford's going to be on billboards. Don't you worry.
You're going to be global, lad. You're going to be world class.
Oh, don't you worry. Dave Harris has seen it, the future. Jack Burford's world class.
Kulusevski collection.
Yeah. Absolutely love it, Jack. Thanks for coming on, mate. Really do appreciate it. And of
course, anytime, mate. Anytime.
Love it, mate. And of course, Dave, where can people find you? Most of the chat obviously probably know where to find you, mate. But let's let them know anyway, mate.
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur, back from my week away at the Brighton and West Ham games. Absolutely unbelievable. If anyone wants to see my matchday vlog, it is up on the channel. Get over there, check it out. It's absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, the Irish Hotspur is the home of me. It was a pleasure spending the evening with Jack, Andre, and yourself, James, and Holly has a nice surprise popping in at the end. Everybody, big up SpursRelated and Holly's channel as well. Everybody, make sure you get over there and smash the subscribe button.
Love it, mate. As always, very, very generous with your time, very generous with your words. And Do appreciate it, guys. The link is there for Dave's channel. If you're not subscribed, I'll be very surprised if you're not, but there it is in the chat anyway. Please do get over there and watch that vlog. It is really good. It is loads of the Spurs community. They're in there. I even saw Holly's face at one point in there with Max in the bar, having it large on the Come On You Spurs bit. So listen, they were all there. They were all there.
Ellie was there as well. Ellie, she was the whole reason why myself and Jack were over there.
Love it, absolutely love it. And yeah, it did look rocking after the game in that concourse. I wish I was there. Went to the 3 games before that home and away, but didn't go to the West Ham game. Absolute shocker, but there you go. And then obviously, Holly, thanks so much for joining at the end there. Really good points as always. Where can people find you?
No, thank you for inviting me on. Like I said, I made sure I was back in time just after I had my last picture at Spoons. I was like, I need to get back for this. So I made it, luckily. But no, thank you for having me on. Just find me at my name, Holly Agenbar. I just do Holly's Hot Spurs Live on a Monday, discussing the game that's just gone. And like I said, it's nice to be with you guys, talking obviously about Bale. That was quite nice. Legend,
love it. Have you got any more pictures planned for the rest of the evening?
I've only got me Koppenbergs in the fridge. I'll see if I can smash through those. But yeah.
Absolutely love it. No prisoners taken on a Friday for Holly Agenbar. And get over there, guys, and go and watch Holly's hot takes on a Monday night after the game, as she said. And also is involved in. You were in Dave's vlog. I'm not just making that up, am I?
I did say hello to Dave. It was a brief encounter because then I was getting involved with all the other tunage. But no, it was a briefing. It was nice to see you in the flesh, Dave, to be fair. Like I said, it's so nice on the match day when I do get to go to see everyone in the flesh. Like, it's so nice talking to people over screen, but when you actually see them in person, it's just a whole nother vibe.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, I like, you know, when I met Dave, I was like, oh wow, he is a real person, not just pixels on my screen every week. You know, it was good, and it was obviously good to meet the We Are Tottenham TV boys, Ben and Sim, and everyone else. So it was all good. I'm sure we'll meet the rest of them. You're right there, Dave.
I'm telling you, call them the T-boys from now on.
I didn't say T-boys. I just messed up my words. But listen, guys, please do check out Irish Shots by Dave and, of course, Holly Agenbar over on the channels. And please do hit the subscribe button on their channels. Like this video, subscribe, share with your friends. And as always, guys, thank you so much for joining the Spurs Relatables in the chat. You've been great for the hour and a half. All of you in it, sticking through to the end. And as always, guys, remember... Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Spurs!
Leave you out.